there's two fundamental desires of our physiology. One is a desire for food, which is the preservation of the individual, and the other is a desire for sex, which is the preservation of the species. And this is what Imam al-Ghazali says, that this is the wisdom behind these two appetites. But if they become inordinate, if they become disorderly, then they actually will destroy the human being. And this is what Imam al-Busiri says, Inna al-hawa ma tawalla yusmi aw yasimi, that it will either disgrace or destroy the human being. It's going to do one or the other when it becomes disorderly. And so she says about this that people fall into the sin of luxury or lust, one, from a sheer exuberance of animal spirits, like they're just simply lustful people. So particularly young men have a lot of animal spirit in them, and unfortunately when it's not protected, they dissipate themselves. And one of the things that Unwin, who wrote a book called Sex and Culture, which is an amazing study. In the book on sex and culture, he studies 80 cultures, from primitive cultures and also more advanced cultures. And what he found is that any culture that unleashed sexual promiscuity without the constraints of chastity and marriage was over within 3 generations. And this is not a religious man. He makes it very clear in the introduction that he didn't have any religion. He was looking at it purely as an anthropologist, but he does say that perhaps religions understood something about protecting it. The other thing that he noted is that cultures that become highly sexualized, that they don't produce great literature, they don't produce great art, they don't produce, he said there was a direct correlation between these things and between dissipated cultures. So that's very important. So an exuberance of animal spirits is one, but the second reason is that when you have periods of disillusionment, when philosophies are bankrupt and life appears without hope, men and women may turn to lust in sheer boredom and discontent, trying to find in it some stimulus which is not provided by the drab discomfort of their mental and physical surroundings. And this gets back to ennui, what the Romans called tedium vitae, this kind of tediousness of life. And one of the beauties of our tradition is something that some people have referred to as sacred monotony. In Arabic, the word for monotony is rataba, which is the same root of ratib, which is the ratib are the daily practices of devotion that you do every day. And so sacred monotony is coming to terms with Groundhog Day, that there is a sameness to every single day on our life on earth. And like T.S. Eliot says, we measure our lives in the coffee, the spoonfuls of coffee. That there's this thing you do, these rituals that you do every single day. And what happens with sacred monotony is these become opportunities for a type of spiritual awareness where these things become meaningful. If you look, for instance, in Japan, the tea ceremony is ritualized because they're making something that is apparently mundane into something extraordinary. And this is what people that are aware of the amazing momentumness of each moment. Look at see moment in momentousness. That your life is either momentary or it's momentous, but they're both in how you are going to live in the moment. Is that moment extraordinary or is it ordinary? If it's ordinary, you're going to get bored. If it's extraordinary, you're going to marvel. And Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayya told me once, he said, that sages and children, he said, al-hakim wal-walad, يعيشوا في العجب. They live in wonder. And that's the reality, because this is an amazing place. And every day is a gift. Every day is extraordinary. And you don't want to spend it in these meaningless pursuits that never satisfy. They never satisfy. You will never be satiated from these pursuits. The only thing that will satiate you, as a wise man once said, that God created a restless heart that will never rest until it rests in God. The heart has to find God. And this is why desire, one of the beautiful Latin roots of that is desirea, is of the heavens. Desire is put in us to seek the divine. And if you go to that downward trend, then you'll just keep going down and down and down until it's a bottomless pit. And actually, it does have a bottom, which is called Jahannam. And that Jahannam can be in this world, because people live in these hellish these hellish states of existence that are terrible. Or it can be a heavenly abode. One goes up and the other goes down. But God made gravity, to go up it's effort. To go down is just easy. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Jannatu huffat bil-makari. Paradise is surrounded by difficult things. And he said, وَالنَّارُ حُفَّتْ بِالشَّهَوَاتِ. And the fire is surrounded by temptations and appetites. So this is the way Allah's created. He wants to see us do mujahada. And the beauty of it is that human beings, whenever they do mujahada, they feel better. If you do something, if you do a ma'asiyah, I guarantee you will always feel worse after it. It's just, that's the way Allah's made it. If you backbite, you always feel, why did I do that? It was just a wasted breath. And not only did it harm you, but it can harm other people too. If anything that you do that's forbidden, it will leave a bitter taste in your mouth. And anything that you do that is encouraged by God, there's a delight in completing that act of devotion. In fact, very often there's a sadness in that it's over, because it was so beautiful to be in that.